Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Jack Hagel. Individual and small group tutoring sessions are helping North Carolina students catch up after falling behind during the COVID-19 pandemic. But a lot of the money that pays for the tutoring is nearly gone, and it won't be coming back. WRAL Education Insider Emily Walkenhorst spoke with educators and school officials about how they plan to keep the tutoring going. And she joins us now. Emily, good to see you again.
Glad to be here.
So, coming out of the pandemic, kids weren't doing great in school. Give us a sense of how delayed they were.
So basically, test scores, not nearly as many kids were showing up as proficient as used to. I mean, there are always some kids who are going to be below grade level, but it was way more. And we've seen some inching up, more and more kids are becoming proficient, but it's still below by a few percentage points what it was before the pandemic. And obviously before the pandemic, nobody thought it was perfect. Everybody thought there was room to grow. And we really took a step back where, thousands more kids were below grade level than usual.
Now, you report that a weapon against learning loss is something called high-dosage tutoring. What is that?
So high-dosage tutoring is basically just really intensive tutoring. It's having one tutor serving individuals, one-on-one setting, or small groups limited to a size of like 3 students. And basically what they do is they just meet with these students at least about 3 times a week for about 30 minutes at a time. And they basically have they set out a goal and they say, our goal is to get you on grade level. And they just meet with them for weeks until the student finally gets to grade level. Some of them are starting really far below it, so they might end up meeting for many, many weeks before they can get to that level. But it's very individualized. It's very, intensive because the focus of that tutor is all on that one student. And it's very regular. It happens during the school day, which is another big benefit. A lot of tutoring is just, before or after school. It's voluntary. There's nothing forcing a student to be there. There's no transportation requirements, really, extra arranging of transportation, special busing, or a special pickup just to be able to attend it. So it's very effective at actually reaching the students.
And what do they go over in these sessions?
So most of these programs are for elementary students focusing on reading. There's been some expansion into math, but a lot of the focus has been on literacy. And so they're going over maybe phonics, maybe, sounding out different letters and recognizing, what letters and sounds are.
Is it working?
So, it's an intensive program, and so we've seen a lot of pretty significant results from the students who are actually in it. Some students have been in it for a while. They haven't maybe reached grade level yet, but a lot of the students have. If you look at, let's say, the program in Wake County, they have a volunteer program there, and off the top of my head, if I recall correctly, out of all the students in this volunteer program who were, below grade level at the beginning of the year, a quarter of them ended up being on grade level after they received the tutoring. If you look at the students overall in Wake County, 2nd grade through 5th grade, of the ones who were below grade level, maybe only 8% actually ended up on grade level. So that's with or without tutoring. And so there's clearly, a lot more acceleration to grade level for students who are getting this tutoring.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll hear about how schools are working to keep high-dosage tutoring in place after federal funding runs out. Stick around. Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download. We're talking with WRAL Education Insider Emily Walkenhorst about funding for high-dosage tutoring. Emily, how much do these tutoring programs cost to operate, and how are schools funding them right now?
So it varies depending on the tutoring program. Wake County has a volunteer-based tutoring program, so most of the expense is going to come from just training the tutors. But a lot of the tutoring programs that we're seeing actually pay the tutors. It's a recruiting tool, especially as schools are worried about being able to hire anyone. So they might be getting paid $15, $25 an hour to do tutoring. And, if you look at the North Carolina Education Corps, for one, they're growing pretty fast. They served about 8,000 students last year. They are spending about $650 per student on that tutoring. And a lot of that's administrative costs, training costs. And then the school systems spend another, I believe it's actually the school systems who spend $650 and the Education Corps who spends $550. And the school systems are paying for those wages. So the Education Corps is covering the training, which is a big thing you have to have for this program. There's always going to be some level of cost, even if the tutors themselves are voluntary. And that can add up to several $1,000,000 in 1 year. And a lot of these schools, these organizations really want to expand. And so, the cost is only going to go up to operate them if they're able to be successful at that.
Now, because of funding, you report that this tutoring isn't going to be here forever. What's the outlook for it?
So basically the situation we have right now is the school systems are paying for a lot of these wages for tutors using federal pandemic relief dollars. So this was, billions of dollars that school systems across the country got back in 2020 and 2021, and they had only a few years to spend it. So by September 30th, 2024, that money is gone. You can't spend it. Even if you had money left over, it's gone. You don't have it. So schools are really spending pretty much all of this money, and they're using it on tutoring right now is one of the things they're using it on. But come, the end of 2024, they won't have this money anymore. The next school year, there's no funding for it. So the outlook is basically, these schools are going to have to find another way to continue to offer it. Do we take another funding source, stop programming that's currently funded using that funding source, and start using it on tutoring instead? They could also ask for more money, from their county commissioners, for example. That's a tough prospect for some school districts, especially a lot of them are behind on maintenance. They want to be able to ask taxpayers to help them fund more buildings or renovations. And so it's kind of a tough calculus, and we'll see how it goes. The legislature has given $3 million of state funds toward this effort the next school year, but that is not, I believe, even half of the Education Corps' current budget, and they're, one tutoring entity.
So are school districts already planning to make these changes?
Yeah, so school systems, they know this money is running out. I spoke with people in Orange County schools, and basically they have a team together that's already trying to figure out what are we going to do in the next school year. So, they're looking at, can we incorporate this into our special education program? Maybe some of the interventions we're using, we will need to, transition them over to tutoring. So, a level of support they might be offering, intervention they might be offering now, maybe they've decided tutoring is better. So that's one thing that they're looking at. But it's not just Orange County schools. We've heard in kind of the Greensboro area, there's a lot of tutoring that's being offered by North Carolina A&T State University, and they're going to keep working on that. They're already talking with Guilford County Schools about continuing a program in 2024, using some funding. There's a lot of desire to keep this programming going. So they are looking at all the ways they can do that.
So with the preliminary data showing such positive results, do you think there's going to be any difficulty getting money to continue these programs?
So that's something that we're going to see play out. The legislature is asking for reports on this. In February, there's a report due to lawmakers that goes over some of the results the North Carolina Education Corps has seen so far. So we're going to get some of those results in the coming months, and lawmakers are going to have basically data before them that says, hey, you should or should not continue to invest in this. And we know that lawmakers in this last state budget already decided to give $3 million toward this tutoring during the 2024-25 school year. That's the one coming up when all the federal funds disappear. And so they have made a commitment to continue exploring this.
Well, as always, we know that you'll be watching and reporting on any new developments. Emily, thank you.
Of course, glad to be here.
That's WRAL Education Insider Emily Walkenhorst. For her in-depth breakdown of high-dosage tutoring in North Carolina, go to the education section of WRAL.com. I'm Jack Hagel. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for listening to the WRAL Daily Download and for making us part of your morning routine. Another great way to get your WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email with Triangle news, events, and headlines to help you get ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.